धम्म परिकंदिया बुंदन पूजे धम्मं पूजे संघं पूजे. Seeing the blessings of the triple gems, right? Our interaction is fruitful and enriching. लोग चर्चा कर रहे हैं किस कारणों से हमारी साधना में प्रगति अवरुद्ध हो जाती है और किस तरह से एक फैक्टर हमने आइडेंटिफाई किया, our relationship with the world, किस तरह से इंसीडियसली बड़े चुपचाप हम मन में राग जगाते रहते हैं, द्वेष जगाते रहते हैं, पता ही नहीं चलता. तो उसकी चर्चा करते करते अब उस संसार के प्रति जो रति है उसको कम करने के लिए, और वो भी प्रज्ञापूर्वक कम करने के लिए, कैसे 10 संज्ञाओं का भावित किया जाए और कैसे उनका बहुलीकरण किया जाए. तो अनिच्छ संज्ञा पे हमने चर्चा की काफी विशद रूप से. कैसे अनित्य संज्ञा को भावित करना है शायद स्पष्ट हो गया हो. अगर कुछ आवश्यकता हो, कोई कंसेप्ट, कोई बात स्पष्ट ना हो तो क्लियर, काइंडली लेट मी नो, सेंड अ फीडबैक, आई विल ट्राई टू रिस्पॉन्ड. दिस डिटेल एक्सपोजिशन भी तभी मुझे आवश्यकता महसूस हुई जब एक बड़े सीनियर साधक ने मुझसे ये फीडबैक दिया था. ग्रेटफुल टू सच्चिदानंद जी फॉर दैट. तो जो अनिच्छ संज्ञा हमने चर्चा की, देखा किस प्रकार से we had a very comforting conclusion in the yesterday that अगर हम अनिच्छ संज्ञा को ठीक से समझ जाते हैं, उसमें कोई डाउट नहीं रहता है और उसको बुद्धि के स्तर पे भी गहराई से समझते हैं और कोशिश करते हैं उसको अपने जीवन में उतारने की भी, और हमारा शील बिल्कुल पुष्ट है और कोई ऐसा काम नहीं करते जिससे कि अवगति हो. तो भगवान कहते हैं कि ऐसे साधक को इस जीवन में मृत्यु से पहले ही या मृत्यु के समय मुक्ति के स्रोत में जगह के अंदर प्रवेश कर सकता है. ऐसे भगवान ने उस सूत्र में कहा जो कल मैंने जिस पे कंक्लूड किया था, संयुक्त निकाय का 25.1 चक्षु सूत्र. तो ये सब जो हम चर्चा कर रहे हैं, एक आज प्रश्न उठा कि क्या नए साधकों के लिए भी ये चर्चा उपयुक्त होगी. तो जैसा शुरू में ही मैंने निवेदन किया था, मेरा जो अपना उद्देश्य है इस सारे प्रयोजन का, इस सारे काम का आपसे शेयर करने का था कि जो साधना में कई वर्षों तक साधना कर रहे हैं और फिर भी एक प्लेटू आ जाता है, उसको हम समझने का प्रयास कर रहे हैं. तो रियली इट इज आइडियल ओनली फॉर दोज हु रियली बीन मेडिटेटिंग फॉर अ नंबर ऑफ इयर्स, क्योंकि I am not giving long discourses, very short reflections, which presume that we already know so many things. I am not explaining Anapanasati Sutta, Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, और अनित्तरखन सुत्ता, उसको थोड़ा सा पढ़ा था, आदित्य पर्याय सुत्ता और दिसति पट्ठान सुत्ता, आनापान सती सुत्ता. आई एम प्रिज्यूमिंग दैट वी ऑलरेडी नो इट, क्योंकि हमने अपने एवीटी के प्रोग्राम में पिछले 1-1.5 साल में ये सब किया है डिस्कस. आई एम प्रिज्यूमिंग दैट वी आर ऑलरेडी फेमिलियर विद दैट, सो इट्स ऑब्वियसली नॉट सुटेबल फॉर people who have just done 1 or 2 courses, of course, they're welcome to listen, but to what extent they will understand and benefit is up to their parmis and their panya, how sharp is the panya. Even they, if they have certain questions, they're welcome to contact me and send questions. तो जो अनिच्छ संन्या की बात हमने कल की, वो तो उसके चरम उद्देश्य की बात की, उससे कहाँ तक हम पहुंच सकते हैं, लेकिन हमारे को बहुत इमीडिएटली एक्सेसिबल बेनिफिट्स भी अनिच्छ संन्या के मालूम पड़ समझ में आते हैं, क्योंकि सचमुच में अगर हम सब्बे संखारा अनिच्छ समझ जाएं तो जीवन में जो कुछ भी होता है संस्कार ही उपजते रहते हैं, कभी कोई परिस्थिति कभी कोई परिस्थिति. इफ यू रियली ट्रूली अंडरस्टैंड कि सब अनित्य है, बदलता रहता है, then we can maintain equanimity in face of ups and downs of life. जो लोग धम्म हैं वो तो आते रहेंगे, कभी हानि कभी लाभ, कभी प्रशंसा कभी अपयश कभी यश. So we understand they are all impermanent, and then we are in a position to maintain equanimity. It's very great gift, because जैसे भगवान ने कहा था, पुट्टस्य लोक धम्मे ही चित्तं यस्य न कंपति अशोकं विरजम खेमं एतं उत्तम मंगलम उत्तमम. तो बहुत उत्तम मंगल है वो, बहुत बड़ी बात है वो, कि अगर हमको ये बात सचमुच में समझ में आ जाए, एंड वी कैन एक्चुअली वेरीफाई जो भगवान की गाथा है मशहूर, निच्चावत संखारा उपादवय धम्मिनो उपज्जित्वा निरुद्धन्ति ते संग समोसु. तो हम अनित्य बोध को समझ गए तो जो भी उपज होता है हमारी कॉन्शियसनेस में, जो भी प्रकट होता है, वट एवर इज द arises in awareness, we know it is impermanent, and therefore we let it pass. उठता है, थोड़ी देर रहता है, फिर चला जाता है. We don't get worried about it, we don't get excited about it, and when it naturally ceases, उसका निरोध हो जाता है, then we feel a sense of peace out of a temporary tanha है, and we can experience it. So इस तरह से हमारी प्रज्ञा और पुष्ट होती चली जाती है. और दूसरा ये बात भी कि it motivates us to work and use our time effectively and not to be heedless. भगवान के जो अंतिम बोल थे उनको प्रेरणा देते हैं, वो यही बात बता रहे हैं, वय धम्मा संखारा अपमादेन संपादित. तो प्रमाद रहित होकर संपादन करो. क्या? क्योंकि संस्कार सभी वय धर्म है, और संस्कारों में ये शरीर भी संस्कार है एक तरह से, क्योंकि कंपाउंडेड है, संस्कृत है. ये भी वय धर्म है, तो इससे पहले कि छूट जाए, मेक बेस्ट यूज ऑफ द टाइम. सो यू कैन interpret it in that manner also. So the very messages of great hope and message of great satisfaction which immediately can be experienced by us, अगर हमको सचमुच में गहराई से बात समझ में आ जाए और याद रहे. बार बार करेंगे, बार बार अभ्यास करेंगे, जैसे पिछले दिनों चर्चा की, बार बार अभ्यास करेंगे, हर इंद्रिय के द्वार पे अभ्यास करेंगे, तो धीरे धीरे करत करत अभ्यास से जड़मति होत सुजान. तो हमारे जैसे जड़मति भी सुजान बन सकते हैं. ऐसे अभ्यास करने की, थोड़ा बहुत जो अभ्यास किया है उससे अनुभव से लगता है कि हाँ सचमुच में ये पॉसिबल है. तो आज हम चर्चा करेंगे शुरू अशुभ संज्ञा की, जो उसका कुछ हद तक तो काया से संबंध है काफी, तो इसलिए इसी को पहले कर रहे हैं, बाद में अनात्म संज्ञा बाद में कर रहे हैं. तो अशुभ संज्ञा जो अभी चैंटिंग की हम लोगों ने सुनी, 32 संगों का विवेचन, इमेवेव कायं उद्धम पादतला अधोके समत्थका तच पर्यंतं घूरम नानापकारस्य असुचिनो पच्चवेक्षन्ति. ये जो काया है चमड़ी से लिपटी हुई, पांव के तलवे से लेकर सिर से सिरे तक, इसके अंदर नाना प्रकार के असुचिनो असुंदर चीजें हैं. अशुभ का मतलब यहाँ पे जो सुंदर नहीं है. एंड द होल एम्फेसिस हियर इज ऑन रिड्यूसिंग अवर सेंसुअल लस्ट. काम राग जो है उसको कम करने का, क्योंकि वो इतनी पावरफुल फोर्स है कि अगर वो एक विद इन कंट्रोल ना रहे तो देन इट कैन क्रिएट अ हैवक इन द लाइफ. But it's such a natural instinct, because evolutionary process में वो एक instinct हमारा है, procreation का instinct, उस हिसाब से वो sensual lust बनी. Because if the process of procreation is very painful, then why would anybody do that? So that is the evolutionary reason for that kind of a thing. So we have to really handle this energy very carefully. इसलिए भगवान ने भी आप देखेंगे कि जो गृहस्थ हैं उनके लिए जो तीसरा प्रिसेप्ट है और जो भिक्षु है उनके लिए उसमें फर्क है. एक में है कामेषु मिच्छाचारा वेरमणि, दूसरे में है अब्रह्मचर्यं वेरमणि. So bhikkhus are supposed to be observe complete celibacy, and householders not to indulge in adultery, which means having physical relationships with one person, with one spouse. So, and you can easily understand why it is being said. It's very crucial, because otherwise one will become a sex maniac. और उसका तरीका भी स्पष्ट है, जैसे अभी हमने कहा, एक महत्वपूर्ण तरीका यही है. अब सती पठान में हमने सबने पढ़ा है, सती पठान सूत्र में, तो वहाँ प्रतिकूल मनसिकार पब्बम भी है, वहाँ पे नवस्वीतक पब्बम भी है. तो दोनों ही है. प्रतिकूल मनसिकार मतलब जो हमारा अटेंशन है उसको रिवर्स कर दें, वो बाहर की जगह उसको अंदर, शरीर के अंदर के बाहर की ओर ले जाएं. और नवस्वीतक पब्बम मतलब 9 तरह के शमशान जो उस समय होते थे, आजकल की परिस्थिति में तो यही कहेंगे सिमेट्री कंटेम्पलेशन. शमशान में क्या होता है वहां जाके बैठ के देखना और ध्यान करना, किस तरह से शरीर जलता है और क्या उसकी परिस्थितियां होती हैं. सो दैट्स दीज आर द काइंड ऑफ थिंग्स. उसका उद्देश्य क्या है कि जो एक नैसर्गिक अट्रैक्शन रहता है अपोजिट जेंडर के प्रति, पुरुष का स्त्री के शरीर के प्रति, स्त्री का शरीर पुरुष के शरीर के प्रति, वो अट्रैक्शन जो है वो सिर्फ बाहर की चमड़ी के आधार पर ही बन जाता है, और हम उसको इतना ड्रेसअप करके रखते हैं दैट इट बिकम सो दैट इट शुड बिकम अट्रैक्टिव. और जो नेचुरल बॉडी के अंदर जो चीजें हैं, मल मूत्र इत्यादि, उसकी स्मेल बाहर ना आए, वो चमड़ी की इतनी खाती है और वैसे भी आने की कोशिश करती है, तो it prevented by all kinds of means which we all know. So to remove that kind of that falsity created about the beauty, then we do this pratikula manasikara problem, taki we understand the purpose of sensual lust is basically procreation. And this we can see in animal realm. They always indulge in that energy arises to them in certain climates and for a certain period. Unlike humans who try to extend that period to the whole life. So that becomes a big problem from the, especially if जो साधना करनी है अगर हमको, if you are really addicted to that, that will be really a problem. And we have to see how we can really contain that energy. For bhikkhus, it is very clear that there's no kind of leniency in that. And for householders, the issue is not doing adultery, not doing sexual misconduct. And of course, in the modern times, it has taken various kinds of shapes. So we all know about it. Even the kind of relationships, having multiple partners even before marriage, and living in with them at different times, and so that kind of also in a kind of, crossing the line of why is it crossing the line? Not because there is any line drawn. The basic point is that it is increasing our sense of lust, and therefore it is increasing passion. And the key thing in Buddha's teaching, you remember I had mentioned about the teaching to Gautami, if I recall correctly. किस तरह से पहचानने की भगवान की शिक्षा है, that which leads to disentanglement and not to entanglement in the world, which means leads to nibbida and not to entanglement in the world, that which leads to dispassion, not to passion. And so if this sexual energy is used in a manner to increase passion, then it will not be for our good, especially from the point of view of the freedom and liberation which we are talking, which is the main motive here. We're not getting into social issues and other things. They have their own value. I'm not saying they're not important, but considering the main aim which we are focused on, that becomes a very big obstruction. Obsession with lust, which is unfortunately taken various forms among the laity now, has to be taken care of. There's a very powerful sutta in Anguttara Nikaya, जिसमें भगवान जो है एक भिक्षु को in overcoming this sensual lust, he compares it to a warrior who is going to a war. क्यों भगवान भी एक क्षत्रिय ट्राइब से थे, क्षत्रिय तो इसलिए इस तरह की सिमिलीज वो देते हैं. So firstly defines 5 kinds of warriors. 5 warriors कैसे हैं कि एक ऐसा है जो जाता है और बिल्कुल केयरलेस है and he just gets killed straight away. Even he just prepares well, सारी अपनी तलवार और bows and arrows लेके जा रहा है और वहाँ पे एकदम immediately gets killed. That's, he says, obviously the most ill-prepared warrior. Then the second one who goes there gets very badly injured, and then people try to take him away ताकि उसको घर पहुंचाएं या महल में पहुंचाएं, हॉस्पिटल ले जाएं ताकि उसके सगे संबंधी इलाज कर पाएं, लेकिन वो वहां घर तक पहुंच ही नहीं पाता, रास्ते में उसकी डेथ हो जाती है, इतनी ज्यादा उसको चोट लगी है. Then third kind of warrior is there जिसको चोट लगी है काफी, लेकिन वो इतनी नहीं लगी कि वो घर ना पहुंच पाए, पहुंच जाता है, वहां उसकी सेवा शुश्रूषा की जाती है, but still he can't survive and he dies there. So these first three kinds of warriors are dying. Then fourth is the kind of warrior who is hurt, not so badly. He reaches home, then people try to apply medicine, bandage and all that, and he recovers. And so that's the fourth kind of warrior. And the fifth kind of warrior which he praises, the best one is, and I'm just adding some things to that, that is the one who is so mindful, is with his bows and arrows and with his sword, that even though surrounded by the enemies, he's unhurt. He wins the war and goes back as a big winner. So why I'm making that comment is basically because I remember to have seen this some clips of the film Seven Samurai, if anybody has seen them. And if you look those small clips where that master or deputy master, whatever, I don't know his name, remember, he's surrounded by his 18 or 9 people come and fight with him, and they don't want him to come to a place. And how mindful he is, the way he walks is, I think, as powerful as a mindful walking which we do. Absolutely still, being constantly mindful. Of course, he's just an actor, but it's a Seven Samurai is a story based on actual facts which happened in 16th century in Japan. So that's the kind of complete awareness, of course, directed towards an unwholesome action, but in terms of awareness, that's a very powerful sign of being aware of that. So Buddha compares these warriors to the monk, and he tells about, and he says that monk जो है सुबह सुबह अपने रोज और बॉल लेके जाता है, तैयार होके ठीक ठाक गांव में जाता है वहां पे, but he is not mindful, he's not restrained his senses, and when he goes there, he sees, I'll just read out, there he sees a female scantily clad with revealing clothes. Lust infects his mind, and with his mind ravaged by lust, he burns in body and mind. And then he says 5 things are possible, and he gives 5 different possibilities, which obviously must be based on what he must have observed over maybe the Sangha or others. And we can easily translate into our laity situation also. First is the monk who goes there and is so overwhelmed by that lady is offering alms. He goes there and he breaks his precept, and he's finished. His holy life is finished. So he says it's just like the warrior who went to the war and got killed immediately. In second case, the person goes there, so overwhelmed by lust. He says, no, it's very dangerous, and he tries to go back, goes through a little bit, but he can't, and then eventually he disrobes and becomes a householder and goes to that person. So this is the second class of person who died, though he couldn't come out of the place. And third possibility says a person goes and his fellow monks in the monastery goes to the monastery. They teach him, tell him, see, Lord has explained sensual lust and sensual pleasures extremely, see the great drawbacks, the great suffering they cause. And they give him all kinds of arguments, but he listens and then he's not convinced. And he disrobes and goes back and leaves the holy life. Then the fourth kind, you can see the similarity with the warriors. Fourth kind is a person who goes and then again same thing happens. But when he reaches the monastery, the people there are able to convince him again and again and again, and through various analogies. And those analogies are very powerful. They're from another sutta. And those analogies, and he gets convinced, yeah, I think I should continue. No, I will try my best. Thank you, so on. And he continues to practice and then doesn't, and slowly he walks so that his this sensual lust is overcome. Probably he must be doing ASUBHA and so on. And then he keeps on going on the training. And he says, fifth of this one who is so mindful that nothing happens to him. He sees the lady who's revealing clothes and scantily dressed. No lust overpowers him, nothing happens. And not only that, their voice and singing and dancing, nothing affected. And he goes back, takes the food, goes back, sits below a tree, eats food mindfully, and goes back to the monastery. So that's the one who's really won the war. So you can see the kind, and we can easily translate it into, instead of celibacy, we can replace it by the sexual misconduct and see for ourselves what the possibilities are, where we are, and how do we really handle it by proper practice of Ashubha and Navasvitika, as we already have discussed many times. It's interesting that sutta where the Buddha gives various examples, and they're very, very powerful, is the Madhyama Nikaya 54 called Potaliya Sutta. It's a very big sutta. I've just taken the portion which is relevant, where the number of similes are given to tell about the limitations of sensual pleasures. Okay? And the one which appealed to me the most is, I'll just read out that. Suppose a dog overcome with weakness and hunger were to come across a slaughterhouse, and there a dexterous butcher were to fling him a chain of bones, thoroughly scraped, without any flesh, smeared with blood. What do you think? Bhikkhus, would the dog, gnawing and biting on that chain of bones, thoroughly scraped, without any flesh, appease its strength, weakness, and hunger? No, Lord. How is it? Why is that? Because the chain of bones is thoroughly scraped without any flesh. The dog would get nothing but its share of weariness and vexation. And elsewhere, this analogy is used and extended further, that when dog tries to chew on that bone, it actually hurts him. He gets his own blood and he's actually sucking his own blood. And then eventually when it hurts, he throws it away, he gets disenchanted and throws it away. And so then the Lord says, in the same way, householder, a disciple of the noble ones, considers this point. The Blessed One has compared sensuality to a chain of bones, much stress, much despair, and greater drawbacks. Seeing this with right discernment as it actually is, then avoiding, then he develops it. He's talking about equanimity of a different kind. I don't want to get into that at this moment. And then he doesn't fall into the trap of sensuality, and he reduces that. So, and then there are so many other analogies, and I would strongly suggest that we have a look at those analogies. Some of them are pretty strong, so as to create in us a disenchantment, a kind of with the sensual pleasure, trying to obsessions with sensual pleasures, especially with the sensual lust. So we can, we'll, I think, discuss it a little more tomorrow. That time is already over, so let's stop here.